Hello again, listeners, and welcome back to the Koto Classic FPL podcast. This is the preseason episode 1. So we are back, getting prepared for the new season 2021-22 FPL season. So before I go ahead, first things first. Chama, how's it going?
Cool man, boy. Bang you ba? Nakam nak. Lagi ba?
Man, cool, man. Man, fine, man. Be like, so I'm sure that yang parehas, ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go now. Yeah, I think my FPL mood is kicking in now. So I'm thinking more about FPL as the day goes by. So yeah, I am ready to go now. I can't wait for the start.
That's perfect. It seems like this season is going to be a very competitive season because already, like I was saying earlier, the number of managers in the game so far is 1.2 million, and it just started. In fact, just I don't even
Yeah.
know. People are just drafting their teams, but then I don't think it's ever been this high before the game even the season even started. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna expect more numbers than last season.
Obviously, definitely, yeah. I think the numbers keep increasing every year. I think last
More
season, by the end of the season, we hit like 10 million FPL subscribers.
it,
Of course,
really? I thought it was
yeah,
oh
10
wow.
million hit. They hit
Okay,
10 million. But of course, you have to consider
the
the
dead
dead
teams.
teams and those with
Yeah, the dead teams.
multiple
Yeah,
teams. There are some people, yeah,
multiple
all those
teams.
things happen.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
still, 10 million subscribers.
Still, it's still higher than it's ever
It's
been.
very
Yeah.
high. Yeah.
Okay, so today we'll be talking about the player team performances of last season, 2021, 2020, 2021 season, and then we'll do our first draft. I think obviously we know that we're always changing our teams, but this is just the first official draft for both of us.
Yeah.
So we'll discuss it and have some questions or question each other about what the strategy is, why are we having these kind of players in our team, and what's the thinking behind the whole draft. So yeah, but Chama, first things first, this is your area of expertise. The performances based on our
Yeah.
stats and how which players were the most effective or the underwhelming players, the overperforming players, the ones we should look out for last season and going into this season. So let's start discussing.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit numbers thing, This is a lot of numbers here, big chances, big XGI and stuff like that. But yeah, we try to make it as brief as possible, as summary, like make it a summary. Basically, what we want to talk about is about the team and player performance of last season, based on try to tailor it towards FPL needs, because in terms of FPL, we know it's all about goals, assists, and clean sheets and stuff like that. But here we focus a little bit more about attacking. So in terms of goals and assists, it can be measured based on in terms of chances that a player have to have the idea how the player was performing. Sometimes the goals they might score a lot of goals, but they might not perform to that level. Sometimes they might score less goals and they might not perform to that level. Likewise for team. So we are just trying to look at the numbers and see who we are performing well last season and who we are overperforming and who we are underperforming. So basically, that's what we're gonna do. So first, we look at the team performance of last season. As you can see on your screen right now, the teams, the whole league, that was the 20 teams. If we sort them based on big chances involvement is a very basic metric, which is like the big chance, like a chance that a player has that is expected to score, or a chance that is created by a player that his teammate is expected to score. So based on big chances involvement over the course of last season, the top 20 teams, Liverpool,
Yeah,
yeah,
not to cut you off, but this is a very visual pod, so we'll try as best as possible for those of us, for those of the listeners that are not really plugged into our YouTube. You should go and check it out. We'll post this clip there as well, this episode. But for the podcast listeners, we'll try as much as possible, or I will try as much as possible to try and maybe give you
definitely.
the numbers and yeah, just to explain it so that you can better understand what we are talking about. Yeah, go
Yeah,
on, Chama.
looking at the table, the top three teams in terms of big chance involvement were, of course, Liverpool were the highest, followed by Manchester City and Manchester United. So that's why Liverpool is usually a very good team when it comes to FPL. That's why they get a lot of attention in their attacking tag. So Liverpool had 178 big chance involvement overall in the whole team. Man City had 174. Manchester United in third had 153 big chances involvement. So this tells you that Liverpool players should have given you about 178 returns, And then you look at that, and then you transfer that into their XG performance and their goal involvement. Liverpool only scored 114 goals, whilst Man City scored 140 goals, which was about 24 goals or 26 goals more than Liverpool, even though Liverpool has more big chance involvement and stuff like that. So for that reason, Liverpool kind of really underperformed last season in terms of attacking threat. Their XG, their goal involvement minus their expected goal involvement was minus 18. So that is a huge underperformance of minus 18 goals. Liverpool should have scored or involved in 18 more goals over the course of the season. Whilst Man City slightly overperformed, but that is normal, 6.888 goals involved. Manchester United and Tottenham were one of the biggest overperformers of last season with 16 and
Yeah,
18 goals. So what does that tell us going into next season? In terms of teams, we all know these are all quality teams. They are all quality teams, so they will score goals. They will have chances. So you wanna pick players from teams that gets a lot of chances. So these are teams that you will target. But then, if you wanna say that Liverpool's overperformance was based on lack of quality in terms of finishers, it can be an explanation, but it may be also a bit of
yeah,
unlucky from maybe opponent's goalkeeper was having a game changer in that game or something like that. So sometimes this is where for me numbers become important to know who was performing and who was underperforming. But then the eye test will tell you was the underperformance based on quality or based on opponent having a very good game and something like that. So it's difficult to bring all together and then make one definite decision. But it helps you, gives you an idea, gives you a context of what is happening. So
where you should focus all your big hitters, or where the budget of your team mostly should be
ex-
focused on.
ex-
I
mhm,
think I think with Liverpool, I think we already had this conversation. I think probably in one of our previous
yeah,
episodes. The thing is that the quality is there. We already know, but they were suffering an issue of
yeah,
confidence.
exactly.
You know, so in the Premier League, there's always something that I've always noticed. When you win the Premier League, the next season is always difficult for the defending champion, because all the teams that are there are coming to like make a statement. You understand? Okay, we are playing the champions of last season, so we have to keep our best. So it's always difficult for the previous champions to come and dominate how they dominated the previous season.
Absolutely.
We've seen this with Man City and Man United and the Chelseas and everything. So the next season is always difficult, because I think apart from Manchester United, Chelsea is the only one that has actually won it consecutive
Mhm.
times, like twice. Even Man City haven't done that yet. So it tells you how difficult it is for the dominating team, or the winner of the previous season, to continue that form of dominance. But you can tell by this. To be honest, I didn't know that Liverpool were still this dominant, regardless of how bad of the season that we all thought that they had.
Exactly.
So it wasn't as bad as people thought it was,
Ex-
actually. To be honest,
exactly. Especially
you
in
know,
attacking time.
yeah. In attacking, yeah, that's something that has opened my eye.
So
Yeah,
what?
go
Yeah,
on.
one team very very interesting here is Brighton. I think we talk a lot about their defensive potential. They were very good defensively, but attacking wise too. Looking at their attacking numbers, they had like 111 big chances involvement. They finished 11th in the table, but that was like third from bottom when it comes to overperformance and underperformance. Like their involvement, they underperformed by minus 23, which was the third lowest or in the Premier League. So they were not also converting chances. They were not only bad defensively last season, they were also bad attacking wise. I know going into next season, everybody is targeting Brighton defenders, like the goalkeeper Sanchez and like the defenders, because they really underperform in terms of defense. But in attack too, their underperformance was very, very high. The only two teams that underperformed more than Brighton over the course of the season were relegated, were Fulham and Sheffield United. So they really underperformed. But in that context, you can say that it was lack of quality in terms of their attack.
That is
Yeah,
exactly what I
yeah,
was coming to. I think they create chances as a team. If you watch them play, you're impressed by the amount of chances that they
yeah.
have. The problem is the strikers that they have are
I'm
not
not
the top. They're not top strikers. You can't say that they are like strikers that you can rely on.
absolutely not.
Even if they had a Bamford that misses a lot of chances. If he was in Brighton, he would have scored most of those chances.
Absolutely.
That's how bad or how underperforming their strikers
Yeah,
are. To be
yeah. That's
honest,
why their
yeah.
strikers is something I am very interested on going into next season. Not the ones that are there right now, but if they were to sign any striker,
Incoming, if they should
yeah,
sign, yeah, if they should sign another striker,
exactly.
yeah,
That's
it
why.
should be very interesting.
Yeah, I don't see any links with Tammy Abraham. But for example, if they get a Tammy Abraham of Chelsea, We will
it
get
will
to in our
change
draft
their
teams.
team
And
a lot.
Tammy is currently in my draft team in anticipation of things like it. But we will get there later. So if they were to sign a very good striker, you would expect Brighton to be very good when it comes to converting chances. And you will also see this when it comes to player performance. Brighton striker was the biggest underperformer of all players in the game, like attacking wise, which we will get to. So yeah, in terms of attack, in terms of attacking teams, yeah, this is it. Like you say, confidence is very important. Liverpool were significantly suffering from confidence. Teams like Tottenham and Manchester City, like the attacking players, at least Kane and Son, they were booming in confidence. They were overperforming. They were doing a lot of good things over the course of the season. Man United, too, attack wise, they were doing exceptionally well. I think. So, but yeah, confidence. This just reinforces that idea that confidence is the very important. It's a very important thing. So, I think we can move to defensive wise.
Okay.
Defensive start. This one shows the defensive performance of teams, but it only focuses on big chances because there is nothing like big chance involved, like created or something. It's all about big chance conceded. There is no creation of big chance. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So it only focuses
Yeah, it means how many chances maybe the attack the opposing team
create exactly how many big
maybe
chances.
created against them. So that means if the defense is really organized, you don't really get those chances.
Exactly. And then if you look at these numbers
Yeah,
against Manchester City, it was at the top. So Manchester City is at the top of all the categories when it comes to attack, when it comes to defense. This is why they were a deserved winner. So because winning a game, winning a league or something is not only about scoring the most goals. It's finding the balance between attack and defense. And
defense.
that
Yeah,
is exactly what Man
attack
City
and
find. They
defense.
were
Yeah,
in the top two for attack. They were in the top two for defense. Chelsea, they are second in defensive wise. But then you look at their attack was very bad last season. So there was not balance between them. So Man City found the right balance last season. That's why they were the champions. I think that's why they, in terms of numbers, that is why they were the champions.
yeah. I think what happened last season was that was it the
Yeah.
opposite? They had Diaz coming to the
Uh-huh.
team, and then Stones was supposed to be the one that was
Yeah.
out. So it was supposed to be Diaz and
Exactly.
Laporte. But then instead, Laporte was injured, and then Stones came and then formed a partnership with
Yeah.
Diaz, and then they became a formidable partnership, and they built from the
Yeah.
back. So they started with good defense, and then they switched to like the midfielders scoring the goals. So that's when they went on that 20 is it game unbeaten run,
Absolutely.
and they just came from somewhere and then just took over the league just like that. And that was when that happened. We just knew that that was the end of it because that
Absolutely.
at the time Manchester was on top, so we just knew that there was no way of catching them. So they were on fire.
And that is
So
that is
yeah,
the
that makes
complete
sense.
opposite of Chelsea. Chelsea last season started decent attack wise with Lampard. They were good in attacking, scoring goals here and there. And then and this end of the season, they started being a very defensive team, very good defensive team. So
Defensive team.
they build
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
attack and then go down. So so instead of building from the back and going up, they build from the attack and then in the end of the season they were much better defensively instead. Yeah, and they were not scoring goals, and that cost them maybe they finished fourth in the table in the end, and even Liverpool finished ahead of them. So things like that. But yeah, I think they were pretty poor when it comes to attack. But their defense, look at them there, right there, number two. Only Manchester City considered less big chances than Chelsea last season, and number three again, Brighton. I think this is why everybody is
Brighton.
interested in Brighton. They were the third. They considered the third least number of big chances over the course of the season of only 50. Chelsea considered 40, Man City considered 36. To put it into context, Liverpool considered 80 big chances. That is 30 more than Brighton in the contest. But
Wow.
of course, we can explain why that happened. Liverpool were there with like a substandard defense
Bringing
and like
paper over cracks. They were using different midfielders
midfielders in
to
defense
play
and
defense. Therefore, obviously, if you take your best players in midfield and you put them in attack, who's going to replace those
yeah,
midfield players? Because the midfield is the first line of defense,
exactly,
actually. So you cannot just use midfielders as defenders. So what's going to happen? It's the team suffers as a whole.
exactly.
So yeah,
So,
honestly,
so if you look
okay,
at overperformance
this makes
here
a lot of
too,
sense.
Leeds United, another interesting one. And people, I can remember Ben coming to the pod last season around the first game of the season where he was talking about Leeds. He will never get a Leeds defender, something like that, because they consider a lot of chances. But Leeds consider a lot of chances because they are okay with it. They are comfortable. They are goalkeeper facing these chances because they trust their goalkeeper to save the chances. They have a very, very good goalkeeper who can make a lot of saves. So that's why they have like minus 11.36 of big chances, almost minus 12 big chances. That is the highest of no team has less more than 10. They like in terms of big chance, like the overperformance in terms of big chances, uh, overperformance in terms of XG and XGC. So Leeds had minus 11 XGC, which is they were expected to concede 11 more goals than they conceded, but they ended up conceding 53, and they conceded 83 big chances. So their big chance conceded and their goals conceded was the difference was 30. So which was very very huge. And what will you attribute this to? If you are not watching a football game, you will say, okay, they have been a very lucky team. They should concede more. But if you watch the games, you will see, oh, they have a very good goalkeeper who saves a lot of good chances. So, and in FPL, you want to find a goalkeeper who saves chances. Sometimes you don't want
That's
your
what you
goalkeeper
want.
to
Yeah,
face big chances
exactly.
because you will be at the edge of your seat all the time, and because they have big chances to face. But if they are facing chances and saving chances, that is what you want from a goalkeeper. Considering a lot of chances, have the ability to keep
Bonus
clean sheet.
points. Yeah, potential for
Exactly,
bonus
potential for
points. Yeah,
bonus points, potential for like extra points, save points, and things like that.
extra
Yeah,
points, save points.
so
Yeah,
this is that thing.
even penalties too. You never know. Yeah.
Exactly.
But that's true. Yeah. But Leeds too, it was the opposite. They started off the season like playing dynamic football, going up and down the pitch with
Yeah,
their energy, high octane game. But then they were conceding as well as scoring. But then at the end of the season, they wanted to consolidate their position, so they started defending more. They were not as
attacking.
dynamic as they were in the beginning. So most of the games that they were playing at the latter stage of the season, it was a very
Yeah,
close game, 1-0, all those kind of games, especially the game with Manchester, which was surprisingly, the first leg was very, very entertaining, and the second leg was just, you know, a board draw. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
understandably.
So Brighton, how about Brighton? What do you think of Brighton? I think Sanchez is the most popular goalkeeper going into next season because of Brighton's clean sheet potential. Especially when it comes to
As
big
well as the
chances.
price, yeah.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. But then the ceiling is very low, right? Because they don't concede a lot of chances. And Sanchez has not been tested enough to understand if he is a goalkeeper who can make a lot of saves if Brighton consider a lot of chances. So that's why his ceiling is a little bit low. So because look at their XGC, it's about 2. So they were expected to concede 2 more goals or something like that. It's not much difference there. Maybe if you get to five,
It's almost accurate.
it's,
It's
it's
accurate,
almost
yeah, about
accurate. Yo.
accurate,
So
yeah.
see, they get what you get what you see. So in terms of saves, I'm not expecting Sanchez to make a lot of saves next season or to give you a lot of bonus points. I think his ceiling as a goalkeeper is 6-7, maximum 7. But that's the difference with Leeds. The ceiling of their goalkeeper is 11 points or 10 points. Last season, I think he get double digits or 4 or 5 times over the course of the season. I don't think any goalkeeper get close to that except Martinez, of course, because Martinez has a
As
high
far as
ceiling to
Martinez,
Aston
yeah.
Villa. So, but then you have to consider the prices and here and there. So, but I really like Leeds goalkeeper because of course they concede a lot and they have a quality goalkeeper. For those two reasons, I like Leeds.
So you think they will continue this trend in this upcoming season? Think it's going to be the same,
Yeah,
the second season?
yeah, basically, I think so. I think so because second half of the season, like you say, they were much better defensively, and this kind of happened when Lorente, the Spanish centre back, was because he's made his debut in November. He was a signing for them in like last season, but he was injured for the start of the season. But when he came into the team, Leeds were keeping clean sheets like almost every other week, and they were defending very well, and they were still conceding chances. But then you have the quality of
Yeah,
Meslier
it was limited.
to make
Yeah.
those saves. So
Okay.
I think they will be much better, and they have 1 year experience in the Premier League now. They are no more that team that we like, team of uncertainty. We don't know now. Everybody know who Leeds are, and they are not a small team.
So
They will, I think,
I think it's going to be tougher for them. It's going to be tougher for them. Yeah, because that's one thing I also like about the Premier League is
yeah.
that it's not a one trick pony league.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you get away with something in the first season, be rest assured that managers will be waiting. They will have a strategy in place for the second season when you come in. So it's going to be a bit difficult for them. But obviously, we all like seeing Leeds play. They're a very entertaining team to actually watch. So I'm excited for them to see what happens in this
Yeah, it
upcoming
will be
season.
interesting. But
Honestly,
I see them as a team, as a big team. Of course, they were in the
okay.
championship for 16 years, for 17 years. They are in the championship, not being able to come back to the Premier League. But as a club, I see Leeds as a big team. I see them in the levels of Everton. I see them in the levels of West Ham. I see them in the levels of that mid-range, a little bit big team. Not their Aston Villas exactly. They just came in recently back. But I see Leeds in that category, and that 1 year
Okay,
experience for them helps them, get used to back to the Premier League. And now this second season, they will show
they
what
can
they
build
are
on that.
build. They can
Yeah,
build on that, just like Aston Villa did. Aston Villa the first season they almost get relegated.
yeah.
In the second
They
season,
almost got
they
it.
became
They
the
almost.
big team that we think Aston Villa
Yeah, yeah. Last season they were exceptional,
exceptionally
to be
good. So
honest.
yeah,
Everybody loved watching them.
for me,
Yeah,
I expect Leeds to get better, and they sign a couple of new players. I think the new left back from Barcelona, which was their weakness. Left back was their weakness last season, and midfield. So they have to fill in Dallas in midfield. So Dallas now can settle finally into the midfield, and they have a new left back who is a very good left back. So hopefully, if he settles into the team, I think Leeds, and they don't lose any of their important players like the Rafinhas, the Calvin Phillips. They don't lose
Rafinha's.
any of
Yeah.
these players. They will do better, I think, for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So can we look at
So next,
the players?
attacking players.
Attacking
Yeah,
players based on goal involvement. Of course, Kane had the highest goal involvement last season with 37, followed by Bruno Fernandes 32. Vardy had 29 big like goal involvement, but mostly it was in penalties. But and then in the second half of the season,
penalties.
Vardy's situation was very strange. In the first half of the season, he was scoring a lot of penalties. In the second half of the season, he was making a lot of assists, which is not Vardy. He is usually a scorer. So that was the strange thing. And now they have a third striker in what's his name again? The one they sent from Salzburg, the Zambian guy. So now Vardy can, yeah, I don't know if he will, and he's old now, so I'm not sure. But
I haven't heard from. I think I didn't hear that news, but yeah, that's interesting. I think the thing with Vardy is that I don't think anybody expected, even the team didn't expect that he was going to be performing at this level for this long. So I think last season was the season where he really
yeah,
showed his age because he was battling or he was playing through some injuries, the niggling injury. So he wasn't really performing like the way he was supposed to perform. I don't know if that's going to get better or it's going to get worse. Maybe this season he might get over the injury and then the aspect of the speed starts reducing. You lose, 1 or 2 yards there as a player, and he really
yeah,
relies on his speed for him to perform. I don't know how he's going to change his game to be able to cope, but it's going to be interesting. I don't think he's going to have as much of a good season, even though last season was all penalties.
yeah,
Obviously, we all know this, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, because Leicester is still a good team.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Iheanacho is
Inacho
there,
is there, and
so
they signed, like I said, I just checked, Paston Daka from Salzburg.
Daka.
He's an
I've
exceptional goal
heard the name
scorer.
before.
He's a
Okay,
very, very, very good goal scorer. He scored.
I'll keep my
Yeah,
eyes on
of
him
course,
because
of
yeah, I'm
course.
always
I
about
think
the
when he
strikers.
start, he's also 7.5 million, like Hinacho. I think he's a better.
He must be highly rated. He's highly
He's a
rated.
better
He's
striker
very
than
highly rated.
Hinacho, and I think to be honest, he scores
Wow.
like 32 goals or 30. He was in the Champions League, and yeah, I think he did not score in the Champions League because he was injured most of the time. But he's a very, very
Okay.
lethal goal scorer. Liverpool played Salzburg last season in preseason, and he scored 2 goals. I think
Okay.
the game was two
Okay.
two, and he scored. That was the first time I saw him, and then I kept tabs with him. And yeah, he actually he replaced Haaland when Haaland went to Dortmund, and he did the same thing
Oh,
or
okay.
even better than what Haaland did there. So that's it.
Is he the same age as
I think
Haaland
he's
or
a little
is
bit
he's
older than
older?
Haaland, maybe 22 or 23 if I'm not wrong. He's 22 or 23, a little bit older
Okay.
than
That's
Haaland.
good.
But he was doing like I was listening to a podcast about Salzburg, and then they have a fantasy league too in Austria. So they say he's the cheat code there. So you have to get him every week and captain him every week because he will give you an attacking return. That's the type
Hmm.
of player. But of course, the leagues
Okay.
are different. The quality of the leagues are different and stuff like that. So you cannot, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, interestingly, Kane, the highest performer of last season with 46 big chance involvement. He was the highest when it comes to big chance involvement. He was also the highest overperformer of the season. But that is a very, very, very good thing for FPL managers because you want to have.
Why do
Why?
you
Why
think?
do I think that is? You want your player to get chances, right? You want your player to be the highest
Yes.
number of chances. The players you get, you want them to be the highest number of chances. And Kane is that. And then if you are getting the highest volume of chances, and then on top of that, you are overperforming on top of that, this is a dream of FPL player for an FPL.
But Kane's situation is a bit tricky
Yeah,
this time around.
it's
That's why it's good to have a draft, but then it's also good to make sure that you keep tabs on what is happening in this transfer
yeah,
window. Because number one, he's just back from the Euros.
mhm, yeah,
That's one. Two, they have a new coach. Three, Man City has bid over 100 million
yeah,
for him. So I don't really know. Maybe it's a good thing that he went to the Euros because they will give him maybe a bit about a week or two for
Yeah,
him to settle. But there's a lot happening. If he goes to Man City, obviously he's going to play and he's going to be in almost everybody's team. But if he doesn't, the way what's your former coach's name again?
Benitez.
Uh, Benitez. The way he
No,
plays, he's more of a defensive type of
Nuno went to
coach.
Everton. Benitez went to Nuno went to
Oh,
Tottenham. Benitez went to Everton.
okay, it's the
Yeah,
other way around. Okay, the Wolves coach, I can. Okay, that's fine. I think I like him. He's more of an attacking type of
and
coach. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. Well, but yeah, I'm keeping tabs on it. I'm not really sure yet whether to keep him to have him in my team because it's
uh-huh.
expensive.
He's the most expensive player in the game.
What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts on
yeah.
keeping him for
Honestly,
now?
he's very expensive, and usually I prefer a midfielder at that price than a striker at 12.5 million. This is why Aguero was never a darling for me when it comes to FPL because his price I feel it was too expensive. But yeah, yeah, I think I should have get him more than I did. But with Kane, there is still Bruno Fernandes, there is still Salah at the same price range. And these are midfielders, and they are producing similar numbers, not exactly the same numbers as Kane. They are
Yeah,
producing
yeah.
similar numbers as him. So if they have the same number of goals and assists, or if Kane beats them by 2 or 3 like he did last season, then obviously the midfielders have a better value because of the extra point for goal, the extra point for clean sheet, and
The extra point as
so that is
midfield.
the
Yeah,
only
definitely.
downside of
Goal
owning Kane.
involvement as a
But
midfielder.
as an FPL asset, he's exceptionally perfect. He gives you the highest number of big chance involvement, and then on top of that, he's a quality finisher. So he finishes his chances that he
Yeah,
has.
yeah.
So he's a dream of an FPL player. The only downside is he's not a midfielder; he's a striker. So if I have
I don't think you like expensive
no,
strike,
because of the
expensive
midfielders
strikers.
we have, so you cannot go for the strikers because the midfielders
Yeah,
give you more
yeah.
value. So that's the thing. But if I could get all three of them, maybe I would. But yeah, it will take a lot of my budget and things like that. But yeah, I keep tabs with Kane. I know he's exceptional, and but yeah, unfortunately, he will not be in my draft for the start. Even if he,
It's the same with me. The same with
yeah,
me too. Yeah, I don't think I'll have him in my draft. Maybe I want to see how things pan out in the next few weeks. We'll get more information on the situation and see because you don't want to miss out also when he starts banging like last season. That was the mistake I made. Kane and Son. I didn't start with them and then I regretted it. So from game week one, I was already behind. So that's not gonna happen
yeah,
again.
exactly. And then
But
you
yeah,
see Son here, he's like overperforming by 4. Kane and Son combined, they all combined like for overperformance of 10. That's why the overperformance of Tottenham as a team was very high. And then
went up. Yeah, it was
yeah,
just
and
two of
then you
them.
look at
Yeah,
Liverpool, Mane and Salah, they all underperform by almost 6. If you combine their Firmino 10. If you combine Mane, Firmino, Salah, it's minus 10 underperformance. So yeah, with Salah, I can say he's not the top finisher, but he gets chances. Kane is a better finisher than Salah.
chances. Yeah, he does get
Yeah,
chances.
Mane last season, Mane usually used to be a player who finished his chances, half chances, and here. But last season he was suffering from low confidence, like you say, so he was not finishing those
Low,
chances.
I think the low confidence, but also he wanted to improve
Uh
his
huh.
stats, his numbers, as compared to
Yeah,
Salah. You know, I think there's a time, there's come a time in Liverpool where Mane feels like he's a better player than Salah, and he
yeah, of
wants to
course,
prove that by
by performance.
by getting all the goals and the
Yeah,
assists.
yeah,
That doesn't help the team per se, but I think um, he needs Salah to recognize the fact that he's also one of the top players
yeah.
in the team. They should
They
they
should
should
work
share
together,
that
right? That's the thing.
responsibility. Yeah, they should work together. Yeah, they should just settle it out and work together. Firmino is always going to get
Yeah,
negative. That's
yeah.
fixed. He's always
He's
going to
always
get
gonna
negative. So this stat is irrelevant, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. He will get a lot of chances.
Always going to
He will be involved
underperform.
in a lot of chances, but
Yeah,
he's just a bad finisher.
it's,
And,
it's it's just
yeah,
normal for
yeah.
that's just
He's a
Firmino
poor
for you.
finisher. I
So
think
yeah,
he's a poor finisher. But yeah, he will always be there. But yeah, of course, his importance is far more than the chances. That's why we can just ignore what he does. When
just
we
ignore.
ignore it,
Yeah, yeah. It's
but to be
just
honest, it's bad.
his involvement is beyond the stats. It's about the way Liverpool play. So if you watch the game, then you understand
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's look
Okay.
at the top overperformance and the top underperformance, and then move to the
Okay.
to our drafts. I think
Yeah. Can go to our draft after this.
overperformance. the top, of course, Kane is at the top. Foden overperformed too. People, it's surprisingly, but he overperformed.
It's surprising, yeah, it is.
Bale, but Bale is no more in the league. Lingard, so I know everybody is thinking about Lingard, but he was the fourth highest overperformer, even though he started his season, second half of the season. He was the
Second half
fourth
of the
highest
season, yeah.
overperformer of the season. So what do you make of that? He only involved in 9 big chances last season, and then he ended up with 14 goals or assists. What do you make of that, Lingard?
I think Lingard's impact for West Ham might be a bit of luck, but also a bit of
Mhm,
confidence, because you leave Manchester like a big team where you hardly get games, and then you go to a team, a mid-table team that let's say you know for a fact that your quality is gonna shine, and they just let him do what he does best.
mhm.
You know, just run around and create chances, and
Yeah,
that's what Lingard likes. He likes for you to like make him the center of
attention.
the
Mhm.
playmaking, and he's always. That's why when he got figured out, it was difficult for him to perform again. You understand? Because once you figure him out, then it's a problem. But when he came, nobody like could tell you what his role was in the team. You see him attacking almost in the striking position, creating chances, and he was enjoying himself. But I think if he's gonna end up in West Ham again, he needs to try to find a more sustainable way of contributing to the
Yeah,
team,
but he's a top point. I think
because
he's
they
he's
have a
like
good. I think they have a good team. Yeah, they have a good team. He just needs to find his role and solidify it in
yeah,
West Ham. But I don't think he wants to go. I think he still wants to fight for a chance in Manchester. But I don't think Manchester is the place for him, to be
yeah. I
honest.
don't think so too. I think
We just have too many quality
yeah,
players
if
right
he's a
now
Manchester United player, he's gonna just be in the fringes and then
on the
maybe
bench.
falling.
Yeah, so because West Ham really like him. They value him. The players like him. He brings a kind of order to the
Yeah,
to the dressing room.
exactly.
He's a fun guy to have around. To be honest, yeah.
I,
But
ex- I,
his career needs that. He needs that. Yeah.
yeah, and number five, Pepe. I know he scored 4 goals in the last 2 games of the season.
What's his name doing there? What his name? Is
Yeah, but because he
surprising, really.
overperformed, like in the last two
Wow.
games, he was scoring a lot of
Uh-huh.
half chances here and there, scored 4 goals, and then all of a sudden Pepe is like the best asset coming from Arsenal going into next season. I know a lot of managers
Oh,
are
obviously.
talking about things because especially people who think about form, who like maybe you are thinking about him because you are a form type of a manager, so kind of. So
No, he's never crossed my mind because his price has always been too expensive for me. I don't think he's worth
yeah,
that
but
price at all.
he started at 9.5 when he
To be
first came to the
honest,
league after his 70 million signing. Now he's 7.5. So will you
7 point. I think he should be around
uh,
7 or 6.5. 6.5 is it's fine. And the reason we have him pegged at that is because of the price that Arsenal bought him for. That's the
exactly
only reason. And last season, this guy Willian from Chelsea going
Arsenal?
to Arsenal. The first few games we thought, oh, this was the guy to have in your team, but then he just faked us, and then just went back to his normal self. So Arsenal never really had any player that was on form apart from Lacazette. Obviously, Lacazette at some point he was the main man, but then I think got injured or something. I
Yeah,
can't remember. But let's just Arsenal. Even Aubameyang, that everybody thought was going to be like a reclassified player, striker to a winger,
nothing happened.
didn't do anything. Yeah, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So that's just Arsenal for you. I don't know. This season, I'm not really looking at Arsenal
Yeah.
players,
Can
to be
can
honest. But
yeah,
let's
I
see what
know.
happens.
Arsenal, yeah, for me, Pepe is gonna be take a lot. It's gonna take a lot of convincing from Pepe for me to pick him. Not just those four
Yeah,
goals in the last two
definitely.
games.
There are
Yeah,
better
there are better
options.
options
Yeah,
there.
much better
So what do you
options.
make like the United assets? Like I can see two players from United, one Bissaka, Rashford, the overperformers. They overperform
One Bissaka, one Bissaka is going to have a defining season,
in terms of what attacking
because right
wise or
now,
in terms of the overall performance.
in terms of attacking,
Yeah,
and even overall, he's defensively. We
yeah,
all know what he's capable of, but when it comes to attack, I told you
yeah,
this last season that he the attacking onus is on him most of the time, because we don't really have a right winger for
yeah.
Manchester. You understand? So now he's the one that's like before he was supposed to be the one to be responsible for that
Uh-huh.
whole side. But now that we have a winger, he's going to be like a show of the right
Yeah,
hand side. He's not really good when it comes to attacking, but he's somebody that can improve a lot.
yeah,
You understand? Like, and now that he has help on that side, I think his attacking numbers is going to
yeah,
increase. But also the problem is there are rumors that we are thinking of signing Kieran
Kieran
Trippier,
Trippier, yeah, yeah.
Atletico Madrid. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Whether he's going to be signed to boost Wan-Bissaka to give him like a challenge, just like the way Teles was signed
Mhm.
for Luke Shaw. So that's what I don't know. Whether he's if that happens, it doesn't. Sometimes if you sign a player to compete another player in a position, it might work
Yeah,
negatively. You understand? It doesn't
yeah.
always work positively for
Okay.
the player. Some people like competition and it brings out the best in them. Some
Yeah.
people don't. So I don't know how that's going to affect. If that is true, if he comes to Manchester, I don't know how that's going to affect Wan-Bissaka because Trippier is a very good player. He's very
Yeah,
experienced too.
I,
So
to be honest,
yeah,
I
he's a
think,
very good player.
overall, I'm not saying defensive. Overall,
He's a,
I think Trippier is a better,
I think he's a better player to be
than
honest.
Wan
Yeah, I
Bissaka.
think
Yeah,
so too.
because Wan Bissaka,
Yeah,
like you say,
yeah.
his
So
attacking threat is just so bad. You cannot play.
he's there. He's learning. He's learning, but it's not really there
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
You can't call him like a really solid fullback.
Exactly, exactly.
That's the thing.
Look at his numbers
Yeah,
here. In terms of big chance involvement, he had three over the course of 38 games last season. I think that's not good enough. So just three
that's not good
either
enough.
created or, and I think one of them was his goals. The goal he scored.
Was a
Yeah,
goal.
that
Yeah,
was in the
yeah.
6 yard or something like that. So I think he needs to get more in the box. But maybe it depends on the way the team wanna play. But looking at his numbers, I think he's more of a center back, like a right center back, like a team playing 3-5-2, and then he
I've
plays.
I've heard
Yeah,
rumors.
in the
Yeah, I've heard rumors too of
on,
Ole wanting to change to a
yeah,
back three.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think
hopefully that might work too.
that
That
might
might
be
work for
best for
us.
him because he
Yeah,
will not have to
might work
attack too much, but
too
his
much. Yeah,
defensive importance can be realized in the
we'll
back.
see. Yeah, I think during preseason we can tell what Ole is thinking and maybe try out some few formations to see which one
Yeah,
works best.
yes.
I think yeah, Rashford. Like I think you asked about him. Rashford is going to be tricky because I think he's going to be
Out for
out.
October.
He's been playing the whole season with
Yeah,
injuries. So I think finally they've given him break and he's going. I'm not really sure whether he's had the
he will get this
surgery
surgery
yet
next
or
month
whether
or
he's going to
something.
have
Yeah,
it, but next month. But he's going to be out for like for a
yeah,
few weeks, probably even a month or two. I'm not really sure
yeah,
to be honest. But yeah, and if you are out, the team has gone ahead and gotten their preseason. Everybody's fit. You need to come and start from scratch and then catch
yeah.
up. So I don't know. Maybe Marshall might even come and take back the left hand side since Cavani is going to be the striker. So yeah, I think Rashford is going to be out, but then the left hand side is open for Marshall. So watch out for Marshall because he's really putting on some videos on Twitter and
Okay,
social
but
media. The comeback is
they
on,
all do that
so
at this stage of the season. I see a lot of.
hyping us up.
Okay,
so, so yeah, I think the one to watch out for is probably Marshall if he's fit and maybe gets a few games under his belt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move down to the underperformers. I think Manchester United dominated this overperformance. Man United and Tottenham players dominated this. So, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Before I move, you think they dominate the overperformance?
For
Uh,
performing, I think it's gonna get better. To be
is it
honest, I think for Tottenham, I don't for Tottenham, Kane might be there still. He's gonna be consistent, but then I'm not sure about
overperformance? You think he will
other players.
overperform like he did last season again?
Kane, yes, Kane, I think so. Kane is he's hit that stride where he's at the peak of his career. You understand? Unless something drastic happens, like a change of club or a change of coach that doesn't really believe in him or
No,
something like that. He's
I
there for
believe he will
now.
get the chances. I believe he will get like 40, 50 chances every season. But in terms of overperformance, like he did this season, like being the highest overperformer with 6 goal or like yeah, that is I think that's a huge number. I don't think he can
Hmm.
replicate in terms of overperformance. Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
think they were just too
Yeah,
much. They were a counter attacking serious threat with him
yeah.
and Son. So
And
I don't
actually,
expect the
the
same
funny thing
performance.
is, I
Yeah,
think Kane overperformed half of he like more than 90% of his overperformance happened in the first half of the season. You remember that period when he
yeah. And the
the
second
second
half,
half
that
he
was
was
it. Yeah, it
completely
wasn't
down
really
when it
much
comes to overperformance.
compared. Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I think it's gonna
yeah.
even out a little bit, kind of. So like they say, the stats will even out sometimes. You cancel out each other at the end of the day. But yeah, United too. Yeah, I think you created a lot of chances and heavily relied on overperforming players. So next season, that guy might dip a little bit. I think for United, unless the quality improve, and then to compensate.
the quality is going to improve, and I think defensively we're going to improve tremendously if we get the targets that we
like
set out to
Varane.
get. But yeah, overall the attack is going to change,
Yeah,
and we might see a different dimension to Manchester. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping
interesting. So let's move down to the
for.
underperforming
Yeah.
players. Usually this is my
Okay.
most interesting part when it comes to numbers because it shows you the players that were doing really well, but then people did not take notice of it because of they were not scoring goals. Because form is very important when it comes to playing FPL and things. So when players are scoring a lot of goals, we tend to think about these players more. We don't tend to think about the players who are having chances, who are creating chances. And underperformance show you the players who were in those categories. So here is the table for underperforming players. Like I mentioned, Maupe of Brighton was the highest underperformer of all players. Of course, the top three, you can simply say they were not quality players. Like except for Lukman, he's a quality player, and maybe he
Lukman is a
created a
quality
lot of
player. Yeah.
chances, and then the likes of Caballero were missing the chances. The likes of Mitrovic were missing the chances. So that's why his underperformance was high because of other players, not himself. But Maupe, he's a striker. Obviously, he's gonna be at the end of chances. So he was having a lot of chances, but he was missing them. So that's why he became the highest underperformer of the season. And this contributed in Brighton being one of the highest underperformers as a team in terms of attack, which they ended up with that. So this is why for Brighton, I am very skeptical who's going to be their main striker this season. Is it going to be Welbeck? He did well when he came into the team last season. Or is it going to be a new striker coming in like a
Welbeck.
Tammy Abraham or something?
Welbeck. Welbeck is not really one of the best finishers in
No,
the
it's not the
game,
best, but he was much better than
but
when he came to the
than
team. Yeah.
Mope.
So if
Okay.
he is the main
Okay.
striker in the
Okay.
team
All right.
at 6 million, he could be a very interesting pick. He's a better finisher.
Yeah.
He played for a big team. He played at Man United and Arsenal, and he was scoring goals not as regularly as the Kane level, as the Bamford level, or as what
It's just the
it was
injuries.
the
Yeah. By the
injury.
time he got that
But we
form.
know
Yeah.
he's a
By
good
the time he
player,
got that
right?
form, he got
So
injured
he's
again.
a better finisher than Maupe.
He
So
is
if he
definitely.
gets a full season under his belt, like if he plays the whole season without injuries, he could be a very interesting pick as a main striker for Brighton because Brighton create chances.
Definitely.
And then another interesting one on the table is Ailing. He is fourth highest underperformer. I keep talking about Ailing, a
A
defender,
defender.
fourth highest underperformer of the season. He had 60. Of course, his big chance involvement is not much, but six is quite decent. If you consider, we just talk about Wan Bissaka, he only had three. They are both right back. Ailing
Three.
has double that, but Wan Bissaka ended the season with 7 goals involvement because of the quality of finishers at Man United compared to Leeds United. So Ailing at this, and then I expect Leeds to get better and I expect him to get luckier when it comes to his chances. I expect him to score. I expect him to create chances this season. And Leeds defensively, like I alluded earlier, they should be okay. They should be better with Lorente in the team. So, and Ailing at 4.5 million this season, I think that is a very, very, very good
That's a
price.
very good price.
He's not
Yeah.
gonna
That's
be in the
very, very good. I think it's even that's too cheap. Yeah.
yeah,
That's cheap for him.
exactly. And he's not gonna be in my team,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Um, we play FPL based on like the fixtures, like the form. So maybe Ailing play United first game away from home, which is not the greatest game. But this does not mean we don't think Ailing is a very good pick. He's a very, very good pick. If we are picking like a dead team, I think Ailing will be in our dead team, all of us, because of this thing. Yeah, overperformance and the important, yeah, like the interesting player, like the players at the top echelon, like Salah is the highest, I think, when you consider the top 10 players, like attacking players, like he was ninth in the overperformance table. Firmino again, like you say, that one is a normal one. We understand. De Bruyne,
But De Bruyne, I'm surprised to
yeah, De
see De
Bruyne. I'm not
Bruyne in
surprised for
here.
me
Yeah.
because De Bruyne is a one who creates a lot of chances, right? He's the most creative player in the league.
So
So
therefore, yeah,
his
he's
overperformance
yeah.
basically come from him creating chances and others not taking the chance.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
law of
why
averages,
he
yeah. You
overperformed.
create yeah, more
Yeah.
numbers and then
And there is
yeah.
Che Adams and
Okay.
Varner. You see Varner. Varner too is normal for him to underperform.
Timo, I don't know. To be honest, it's like they Chelsea signed Timo Werner and then they broke him. Like the guy, his confidence is shot, is gone. Like you can tell he does the difficult things. It's easy for him, but then the easy things like beating the player and getting the chance, he does them perfectly, no problem. But then to slot the ball inside,
That's the
it's like
difficult part.
it's like the cost of Drogba is all over all over him again. I
Yeah.
don't understand. So when Chelsea signed Shevchenko, they were expecting that they were going to, and then Drogba was there, but then Shevchenko just became a different
Yeah.
player altogether. So I don't know what's happening. I hope they give him another chance this coming season. But I hope they don't sign any striker and just give him a second chance to see what happens.
Well, Chelsea are very keen on a striker, like Sonny mentioned last time when he came to the port. They are thinking of Haaland. I think they are actually progressing with that one, but I don't think the deal will.
You
I don't think
think?
the deal will happen.
I don't think they do. Not
I
this
don't think the
season.
deal will happen.
I
But
don't
they
think
are,
so. They can't lose.
yeah, but there is progress in that talks, and there is more talks, And when these things happen, when these rumors go around, yeah, it can happen. So I will not be surprised if it happens. But yeah, like you say, Dortmund this season they will not want to lose two of their biggest players.
They can't lose two of their best
Two of their
players.
best players.
Yeah,
But
it's
but
it's
but
going to
then it's
be
a COVID season. It's a COVID season, and we know how teams are struggling financially. So you never know. You never know. So for me, I will not rule it out. I will not say it will not happen, but it is a bit unlikelier than likely. Yeah. So yeah, I think,
okay.
and yeah, finally, let's just look at the defenders, attacking defenders. Finally, and then we move to our
Oh
drafts. Yeah,
yeah.
this is the chart for the attacking
Okay.
defenders. Um,
Uh-huh.
Obviously, when it comes to big chances created and big chances involvement, at the top you have Trent, Robertson. The underperformance again. You can see more about the underperformance for Liverpool. Trent and Robertson, they both underperformed last season. And then at the top in terms of overperformance, you see Cresswell. He was a very good player last year, but he created a lot of chances and he involved in a lot of chances as well. So he overperformed. So that is okay. If you are creating a lot and overperforming, that is okay. But if you are not creating a lot and not overperforming, then that is a problem. But with Cresswell, that's okay. Kufal and Cresswell, yeah,
Kufal.
Kufal
Yeah.
is a very interesting one. He does not take a lot of set pieces or a lot of most of his chance creation is coming from open play. That makes him a better option for me. Like because it's more
Better
sustainable
than Cresswell.
than
Yeah.
Cresswell because Cresswell has to rely heavily on set pieces and stuff like that to create
Set
chances.
pieces. Yeah.
Yeah. And you see Elin over there, he's in the top 20 uh, performing players, defenders, but he's the highest underperformer. This makes him even a more interesting one. And another player that I'm very interested in is Loughton of Burnley. We know Burnley is a very solid team defensively, right? We didn't expect,
Yeah. I remember his
yeah,
haul.
his
His
haul, his
haul.
15 point haul. But he is also very involved
15
when
point
it comes to
haul.
big chances. He had 8 big chance
Mm.
involvement. That was 8 in the league. Only 7 players had created or involved in more big chances than him last season. And then that added to Brighton, Burnley being a very good defensive team, makes him even a very, very good option at 4.5 million. So for me, Aileen and Loughton are the two best 4.5 million defenders in the league. And this is based on defensive potential, attacking potential, and they play games. They almost play the whole game. They are
Yeah.
different
They
from
play
they are
almost, yeah,
different from
each and
they
every
are
game.
different
Yeah.
from Lamptey, for example. Lamptey was injured for most of the season. Of course, we know what he offers going forward, but you cannot guarantee that he will stay fit.
He's
He's
injury
injury prone,
prone.
and
Yeah.
these two are
Mm.
staying on the pitch all the time. So 4.5 million, you cannot get better than Loughton and Ailing, in my opinion.
Okay. I think you're right. I think for me it's Kufal is one. He's already in my draft. Kufal, like Ailing, like bringing this because before I remember when we started the season last season, I had him in my
Yeah,
draft or in my team. I can't remember because he was highly recommended when he was. We didn't know much about Leeds assets, but when people were talking about him, they were talking about him and
yeah,
Dallas. So yeah, I think Ailing too is. But Lowton was like a bench fodder. Like all of a sudden, the 15 points was really difficult for me to
yeah.
accept, you know. But oh yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, but yeah, like you say,
Yeah,
Kufal, yeah, is the better. But Kufal is 5 million. So I am pointing at Loughton and Ailing as 4.5 million options. I think there is no better 4.5
mm,
options than that. I know people
yeah,
are talking about what is his name, Fofana of Leicester, because but he does not offer any attacking threat. And Leicester is a
yeah.
decent defensive team, but they are not the best defensive team in the league. They are just mid range defensive team, like a top 6 defensive team, something like that. But attacking wise, Fofana does not offer you anything going forward. So for that reason, I don't think he's a good option. For me, personally, I want my defender to offer me some attacking returns as well. So yeah, but yeah, I think we covered player performance of last season and the team performance of last season, which gives us a context. Now we just have to remember what we see on players and what they offer to get our teams. But this is just to give you the idea of, in terms of numbers, how they perform. I think I think we
Okay.
did well in that. And yeah, if of course, if you are listening to the pod, you might not get the idea very well. But if you are looking at the screen, it makes it even much better. And like someone mentioned
Yeah,
earlier,
gives you an
this
idea. Yeah.
podcast will be posted on YouTube, so it will be better to watch the visuals than just to listen to the pod. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end of our section on the stats from last season. So I hope it gives us an idea as to maybe trying to pick players based on last season's performance. And this doesn't include obviously the players that are coming in the new from the new teams as well as the new transfers. But it gives us an idea as to like if those players were to continue this trend, which players are worth having in your teams. But yeah, I think I've learned a lot so far.